Is the Double Freedom the best shotgun in Helldivers 2? Yeah, I actually think it is, and apparently a lot of you are on the same page. I put up a poll asking what weapon you wanted a max difficulty loadout guide for, and 61% of you said the Double Freedom. Not, hey, maybe try this, or this sounds nice. Just overwhelmingly, do this one right now. So here we are. We're diving into Democracy's Boomstick today because this shotgun is insanely fun and extremely strong. You've got people calling it the super shotgun that Helldivers always needed, others worried that it's pay to win because it's in the Superstore, and of course the usual, they are absolutely nerfing this crowd. But instead of getting stuck in all that noise, I want to show you what this thing actually does on the battlefield and why it's already one of my go-to primaries for bugs. We're going to break down the full loadout I've been running and the strategies that make it work, as well as some substitutions if you don't have everything unlocked yet. I'm also going to cover what to do when you're staring down a Bile Titan with nothing but your shotgun and a prayer, because yes, the Double Freedom can absolutely handle that too. Before all that though, we need to cover the basics of the Double Freedom and why it feels like it was designed by someone who really wanted to see a big number destroy an Alpha Commander's face. The Double Freedom is available in the Superstore for 400 super credits, and if you missed it the first time, don't stress, it'll come back around. The store usually cycles through the last 6 war bonds on a 2-day rotation, so every 12 days you're going to see it again. That gives you plenty of time to farm up the super credits, and trust me, you do not want to sleep on this weapon when it shows back up. The Double Freedom is a double barrel powerhouse firing 4-gauge shells that hit for 840 damage each at medium armor penetration. That is wild for a primary. You get 40 spare rounds plus 2 in the gun, and while you do have to reload after both shots, you can top off 1 shell at a time without wasting ammo. The ready ammo is small, yeah, but the reload is faster than you'd expect. This thing does not mow through hordes on its own, but we're going to work around that with the rest of our loadout. I look at the Double Freedom as a priority target executioner. This is not a do-everything primary like the Coyote is, for example. This is the gun that you use when you want to erase medium and high priority threats while the rest of your loadout handles everything else. The Double Freedom has 2 firing modes, single shot and volley. Volley dumps both shells at once for a ridiculous burst of democracy, but most of the time you'll want to keep it on single fire. One well-placed shot is enough to melt a hive guard, pop an alpha commander, or delete a bile spewer, and if your first shot is a little off, the follow-up shot is near instant if you can manage the recoil. Treat single fire as your default. Keep the gun topped off and use it as your problem solver when mid-tier units are going to pose a threat. When you got big dudes stepping up to the squad, volley will 2-tap a charger weak point or an impaler's face without breaking a sweat. And while I wouldn't call the Double Freedom a dedicated Bile Titan killer, it can absolutely get the job done if you've got the stones to get up close and personal. The play here is really simple. Set your shotgun to volley and bait a Bile Titan spit so you can blast the underbelly to destroy it. After that, run underneath and start unloading shells into the weak spot. It's messy, it's dangerous, and it is peak Helldivers. You'll notice I haven't talked much about attachments yet, and that's because, honestly, they don't really matter that much on the shotgun. The Double Freedom's recoil and handling are already very manageable given it only shoots 1 to 2 times per reload, and none of the attachments meaningfully change how it performs. Pick whatever looks cool to you. None of these options swing the performance in a noticeable way, so don't overthink it. Now that we know what the Double Freedom does well and where it struggles, let's build the loadout that makes this thing absolutely shred on max difficulty. The shotgun handles all of your priority target work, so the rest of the build needs to cover for its weaknesses. That's exactly what this loadout is designed to do. And of course, we've already talked about the Double Freedom's biggest weakness. It struggles against hordes because you're constantly reloading. To solve that, our first pick here is the Stalwart. The Stalwart is a menace of a support weapon and one every Helldiver should know inside and out since it was practically standard issue during the Super Earth invasion. With its extremely high rate of fire, huge magazine, and mobile reload, it completely takes over for handling chaff. At 1,150 RPM, this thing basically becomes a laser beam that defines the phrase accuracy by volume. It absolutely shreds light units, and on bug missions, that includes the endless streams of hunters that love jumping at you from off-screen. Whether you're establishing fire on a bug breach from a distance or erasing a swarm that just materialized behind you, the Stalwart gives you that instant tempo swing the Double Freedom just simply can't. Pairing the ferocity of the Stalwart with the burst power of the Double Freedom gives you the perfect coverage. Your shotgun deletes priority targets and the Stalwart controls everything else. Next up is our backpack slot, and the pick here is the supply pack. What's not to love about this thing? You get stims, ammo, and grenades on demand whenever you need them, and you get to double dip on resupplies because every standard resupply pod refills your standard supplies and gives back a supply pack charge. I don't think I could say that again if I tried. Because the supply pack lets us carry extra grenades and ultimatum shots, we can deal with heavies and use the grenades as our primary bug bug hole closer. If the supply pack isn't your vibe, hang tight because we're going to cover alternatives in the substitution section later on. But for this setup, nothing keeps you in the fight longer or more consistently. To help with heavy destruction and big pressure moments, we're taking Eagle Airstrike as our third pick. Airstrike gives you a ton of flexibility thanks to its predictable perpendicular landing pattern and its 3 uses per cooldown. Honestly, I think it should just see as much play as the 500, but I'm not trying to get reported to the democracy officer. The strength here is coverage. You can throw it at an objective or a bug breach and it'll rip through anything blanketing that area. And because it has strong anti-tank properties, it's going to handle everything from light chaff to Bile Titans, making it perfect for stabilizing messy fights or answering multiple heavies at once. That extra charge just feels good and encourages you to use it proactively instead of saving it for a single oh shit moment. Next up is the very cool, very underrated Orbital Napalm Barrage. This is your big resource dump, your I don't want to worry about that area for the next 30 seconds button. From that perspective, it's extremely effective. Now look, I know Orbital Napalm is a very common pick, and honestly, I would say that it's overpicked.
Oh brother, this guy stinks!
But here's the key point. This loadout is specifically built to make Orbital Napalm shine instead of feel redundant. A lot of squads will grab Orbital Napalm because they lack consistent crowd control, and we're taking it because we already have consistent crowd control. Our base kit covers the fundamentals so well that we don't need our last stratagem slot to bail us out every 20 seconds. That frees us up to take a long cooldown stratagem and use it exactly when it matters. Napalm's 3.5 minute cooldown is a big commitment, and with multiple divers taking big AoE tools, it can sometimes feel underwhelming. But this build avoids that problem entirely because you're always going to have room to deploy it when you want to and not when you need to. Just mind your distance because this thing does not care about your health bar. And let's be honest, we've all accidentally erased a squad or 12 with a napalm fumble. Tell me about your napalm mishaps in the comments. Now let's talk equipment, and here's where you get a fun little fork in the road. We can either focus on anti-heavy or nest clearing. Today, we're running the Ultimatum. It's a high-skill, high-reward weapon that becomes absurdly strong when combined with the supply pack. If your aim is on point, you can handle every heavy on the battlefield with confidence. But there's a very legitimate alternative here, and that's the grenade pistol. If you want faster and more consistent nest clearing, or you prefer a more forgiving playstyle, the grenade pistol is the easy pick. Now, our grenade pick is the set and forget gas grenades, which serve multiple roles perfectly in this build. First, they're amazing for locking down patrols and the initial spawn waves of a bug breach. This gives your stalwart time to start chewing through chaff and buys space for your orbital napalm barrage to get rolling. Second, because we lack explosives outside of airstrike, these become your primary bug hole closer. Is it the most glamorous solution? No, but it is effective and that's what matters. A good loadout is all about push and pull. You get to choose what you excel at and what you're willing to struggle against. And this is the one area where we lean functional over flashy. Last up is our armor choice, and while both reinforced epaulets and Siege Ready are strong with the double freedom, reinforced epaulets gets the edge in this build. Siege Ready gives a reload speed boost and extra ammo, which are both great perks, but because we're running the supply pack, the ammo bonus isn't actually doing much for us. Reinforced epaulets, on the other hand, gives us the reload speed that we want, and it prevents limb injuries, which is a surprisingly nice quality of life boost when you're getting blindsided by warriors. And look, let's not pretend that drip here doesn't matter. The reinforced epaulets armors are easily some of the sickest looking armors in the game, and that alone is reason enough to slot it in. We are bringing freedom to the galaxy, and we should look dope as hell while doing it. And if you're the kind of player like me who likes seeing a loadout in the wild before trying it yourself, I've got you covered. There's a full difficulty 10 mission with this exact build going live alongside this video, so feel free to watch that when you're done here. The link is right here and in the pinned comment. Alright, this is the part where the build actually comes alive because the double freedom stops feeling like just a shotgun and you really start leaning into the playstyle. For standard engagements, I almost always open from medium to long range with the stalwart. If the patrol is large, I'll toss in a gas grenade early just to slow everything down and make sure the stalwart gets the point across. Now this is where we start to pivot from controlling the field at range to taking it for ourselves. When a group includes medium threats like alpha commanders or bile spewers, that's when the double freedom steps in. Push in a bit and delete priority targets fast. And you're going to see this a lot in the mission video. When the horde gets thinned out, I press the advantage and clear the bigger threats as soon as I can. As you get more comfortable with the double freedom's range, you're going to start using it in smaller skirmishes too. This is where the reload speed armor really starts to shine because you can take out a few targets up close, reload quickly, and then bounce back over to the stalwart before everything starts to go sideways. Real talk, this next part is where a lot of players are going to get themselves killed, and it's not because of the double freedom. It's because the stalwart ammo management is low-key one of the bigger skill checks in the entire build. On paper, 250 rounds per mag sounds like you never need to think about ammo, but in reality, it's the opposite. The Stalwart punishes you very hard if you ever let it run dry. That long reload is how you end up surrounded by hunters while you're trying to stim, dive, and prey at the same time. So here's a rule that I follow. It's always better to spend some ammo at the end of a fight than get caught with almost nothing at the start of the next one. So how do we avoid this problem entirely? With the right support tool. And this is exactly why the supply pack feels so good in this build. It softens the blow of topping off your Stalwart when you need to drop a mag and keeps our engagement rhythm feeling smooth. The supply pack ties this whole loadout together, and not just for ammo, but for how we use the ultimatum and gas grenades. I play pretty fast and loose with the first 3 charges. I'll hand out stims or ammo to my squad or burn ultimatum charges on a heavy. That's all a part of the rhythm of the build. But the final charge is different. That's my break glass emergency resource. Maybe I need stims because I got jumped by a stalker, or I need grenades to close those last 2 bug holes. Whatever it is, that last charge is my safety net. The real trick here is keeping track of your cooldown. If your pack is close to refreshing, drop it and get a fresh one going. In most missions, you want to be deploying a new supply pack pretty much on cooldown unless the map is throwing you a ton of free resources. Alright, enough about responsible ammo choices. Let's talk about explosions. I treat Eagle Airstrike as my area clear tool, something that I use to wipe out really dense nests or to anchor a bug breach rotation. For normal patrols and skirmishes, I let the Stalwart and Double Freedom handle things, so Airstrike is always available when I need heavy damage. Where this thing really shines is on densely populated nests, the kind that are packed with hive guards, alpha commanders, and biospearers. You know the ones. Showing up with 3 full charges makes those nests way less intimidating, and this is exactly why you don't burn an airstrike on a random charger patrol. If I need a heavy deleted on demand, that's a job for the ultimatum. Now let's talk about orbital napalm barrage, because this is your biggest cooldown and the one that you want to get real value out of. In this build, that value comes almost entirely from bug breaches. You can use it elsewhere, but breaches are where napalm feels like it's a possibility. And the question isn't should I use napalm on this breach, it's when should I use napalm on this breach. Helldivers love dumping every stratagem the moment a breach spawns, which is how you end up with 3 giant firestorms nuking the first 5 bugs and absolutely nothing covering the other 150 that spawn after that. So let's walk through 2 quick rotations so we know how to respond when things get spicy. If you're solo or lone wolfing away from the squad, drop your napalm immediately. It has a 7 to 8 second call-in time, so get it down fast. Toss in a gas grenade and start clearing chaff with the Stalwart. Then, work through the 4 R's: reposition, reload, resupply, and reassess. Once napalm hits, take a deep breath, say nice, and cue up an enthusiastic mirth emote. As your napalm fades, rotate between gas grenades and airstrikes to control space and kill heavies as they spawn. Anything that pushes through all that gets a double freedom shell to the face. Now, if you're in a squad, that same rotation is going to apply, but reverse the first 2 steps, because if Helldivers had a national pastime, it would certainly be wasting cooldowns in perfect synchronization. Gas grenades first so you can see if anyone else is dropping big cooldowns. If nobody throws anything within a couple of seconds, send your napalm. This keeps you from stacking 3 giant AoEs on the same half of the breach and wasting cooldowns. Now, before you send that orbital napalm stratagem outside of a bug breach, just breathe, put the stratagem down, and let's talk about this. Because trading a 3.5 minute cooldown for 20 to 30 kills you could have gotten with the rest of your loadout is almost never worth it. Save napalm for the moments that win you fights, not just clear space. Okay, now that your brain is full of fire and responsibility, let's talk alternatives, because not everyone watching has every stratagem unlocked, and I always want to give you flexible paths to build around the weapons that we're discussing. If you want to drop the supply pack, a guard dog variant is a fantastic swap that pushes this build even harder into horde control. I ran a bunch of missions with both the gas dog and the hot dog, and they each felt great, but just keep in mind that you're shifting your identity a bit here. With the guard dog helping you handle swarms, you'll want your other stratagems to lean more heavily into anti-heavy tools. And yes, I already know some of you are typing hot dog best backpack, and honestly, can't disagree. When I ran this setup, I used the Eagle 500 and orbital rail cannon to make sure I still had reliable answers to heavies, since the base kit was already deleting chaff effortlessly. And while it's possible to solo these heavies head to head, that becomes pretty precarious when they're mixed into large groups. Mobility backpacks are also strong picks depending on your playstyle, and they give you the breathing room you sometimes need to reload the Double Freedom or Stalwart safely. The Warp Pack in particular is one I enjoy a lot since it encourages such aggressive play and it gives you an escape hatch when things get a little hairy. If you want to change out the Stalwart, any of the machine gun support weapons work well. The brand new Maxi Gun is a fun alternative as long as you remember that you're basically bolting yourself to the floor. For Eagle Airstrike, you have a buffet of great personal preference options like Eagle Napalm, Strafing Run, Gatling Barrage, Orbital Gas Strike. If it clears space or it deletes crowds, it's a pretty good fit. Now, if you want to keep the same big resource dump theme from the Orbital Napalm Barrage, the Emancipator Exosuit is a phenomenal pick. I ran a ton of missions with the Exosuit and it absolutely shreds. It smooths out one of the only major pain points of the build, which is clearing large nests. Just remember, survivability in the Exosuit is all about staying mobile. The moment you slow down, you lose an arm and suddenly you're just sad and exposed. Keep moving and you're gonna feel unstoppable. Another excellent pick here is the Orbital 380 Barrage. If you're the kind of diver who likes blowing open objectives ahead of time or deleting nests while you go do something else, this fits beautifully. And because our core loadout is so skirmish oriented, we're free to take a long cooldown stratagem and specialize around what our squad actually needs. To wrap this up, here are a few plug and play builds using everything that we just covered. Loadout number 1 is our standard loadout, which is the core build from this video. The Double Freedom and Stalwart handle almost everything, while Airstrike and Napalm give you crowd control and area denial. Loadout 2 runs a guard dog backpack and pairs it with a 500 and rail cannon strike. Your base kit is going to handle all chaff, and your stratagems delete big heavy threats very quickly. Loadout number 3 trades the Stalwart for the brand new maxi gun. Grab a machine gun sentry to watch your back and use rocket sentry and airstrike to cover heavies while you mow down anything in front of you. The Double Freedom is proof that Arrowhead can still drop a primary weapon that challenges the meta giants like the Eruptor. They even fill similar roles, with both being incredible at deleting priority targets. But where the Eruptor brings explosive utility, the Double Freedom dominates close-range combat in a way that just feels primal. And honestly, that's the secret behind its popularity. The Double Freedom gives you the exact shotgun experience that everyone imagines in their head. The Double Freedom rewards decisive play and good positioning with instant, undeniable payoff. Where does the Double Freedom land for you? Best shotgun, completely broken? Let me know, because I'm genuinely curious where everybody is ranking it right now. Call it power creep if you want. I call it badass and ridiculously fun. It's exactly what a super shotgun should feel like in Helldivers, and it's gonna stay one of my go-to picks on bugs for a long time. If you enjoyed this video, drop a like and a sub, and if you want more max difficulty loadout guides, there's another one waiting for you right here. Peace out.